This video was recorded in front of a live virtual audience.
Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Today's a good, juicy, hot topic. We're going to be talking my Chanel 255 bag collection, the entire 255 bag collection that I have. So there's a lot of base to cover here, a lot to talk about, and it is a huge passion of mine. You know, the Chanel 255 bag is my holy grail bag. Before we get to the video, may I please remind you, if you haven't yet, but like watching my videos, consider subscribing to my channel. Push that subscription button as well as the notifications button to get notified whenever new videos get uploaded. And also you can consider becoming a member of the Fashion Bunker, the Super Dacob YouTube channel, and get a lot of perks for that. You can also join me on Patreon and become a patron of the Fashion Bunker. And thank you so much to my members and patrons. All right, you guys, let's get to the collection. Right off the bat, we're going to do this in a chronological order, meaning the order in which I purchased these bags. So we're going to be talking 255, which is my favorite Chanel bag. It's not just my favorite Chanel bag, it's my favorite bag of all time. How do I keep them stored? We can begin with that. They do have these plastic bags in which they are kept inside of their, let me take it out. Then they're kept inside of their pouches. And then in this case, the chain is in the front, and I bend it inwards like that so that the chain doesn't put pressure on the front of the bag, so it doesn't dent the leather here. Then I have the microfiber glove on top of the bag as well to protect it. Why? Because I slide it into the back pocket so that the leather in the back pocket does not, with time, I mean, if you don't use it for a certain amount of time, and this year was a year where I didn't use many bags because we were in lockdown most of the time, you don't want the leather to attach to the back, you know, it's all leather on the inside. So I just like to keep them separated so air flows between the pocket, you know. Then it has its, so this was, right, okay, well, we'll get to all the details. I have so much to talk about. It has here, it's felt to protect the inner flap, because I cannot stand when this little zipper dents the leather. And even though mine is protected, even though I have the felt, it's still, you can still see a little bit of something going on over there. It is what it is. I travel a lot with this bag, so for the amount of times I have used it, minus the lockdown, it's kept up really well. Then I have another felt, a little here to protect this side of the leather. And then inside, I always have a bit of tissue paper just to keep, I don't need something to put it in shape, because you can't put a 255 into shape. Nobody puts baby in the corner. You want that 255 to remain nice and flat and folded. So you don't need to stuff it to give it a shape. It's nice that it gets its little, you know, feel. It's a soft, oh, the smell of it. It has its, am I in the center? It's so hard to center. It's supposed to have this fold and vintagey shape. A lot of people are going to tell you, this is terrible, the fold, unfold it, flatten it. No, it's so beautiful. The extra step goes into folding these bags. No other bag in the world has a fold like this. It would have been easy for them to just make it straight, open, done. Sure, that's how it was made in the 50s and the 60s, but this is a concept of finding it vintage, like flattened out in a box from your grandmother and then using that bag for yourself. That's the romantic idea behind this fold of the 255 bag, and I find it to be a subtle and yet ingenious addition to what Coco Chanel already designed in the 50s, being the 255 bag without this fold, giving it that heft and heritage and saying now it has the fold as an extra added element. Plus, I believe that the fold makes a beautiful addition to a bag that, like this, folded like this, falls much closer to the body when you wear it. So it doesn't, when it's all opened up, it stands up too fat off your body. So it's just a very, very elegant, very chic, and might I add, very French addition to add this folded slit. Really, really beautiful. So this was the first 255 bag I purchased. It is the, what they used to call the size 226, comparable price-wise to Timeless Classic double flap jumbo, exactly the same price as the jumbo. However, this one is a little bit shorter, but it is a bit taller though. So where it loses in length, it gains in height, and I do believe also in width, but the width is irrelevant with this one because it changes according to how much you fill it or not. So, I can't remember, 2015, 16 is when I bought it. And I made a review of this bag on my YouTube channel. So I will post in the card section the link, but also underneath this video in the description box, the link to this one. It's a big one. I would not go for the Maxi. And you can also check my other video called the 255 Exposed, where I go into detail about the stitching and how it should be done, how the all the bits should be aligned, all the leather bits should be aligned, how the stitches should be aligned, how the matelassé should be aligned. So I'm not going to get into that so much in this video because this video is about my 255 collection. All the details on quality, wear and tear, blah, 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 what have you. I have tons of videos on this specific bag on my YouTube channel. Oh, the smell of it. Okay, so this would, for the sake of it now, we're just going to place it here very delicately. All right, my next one, because I was so in love with it, I wanted the silver first, the aged silver hardware, because all the photos of Coco Chanel, most of them that we have of her in the 50s with her 255 bag are photos in black and white. So I liked to mirror that poetry. I know that her first chain was gold, but I wanted my first chain to be silver to mimic that black and white photo of her wearing the bag, because in the photo, the bag does result black, the bag is black, and the chain gold. On the photo, on a black and white photo, it's white, so it could be silver. And so this bag with the silver chain, it's like a black and white photo of the 255 bag. I find that extremely poetic. I say yes, that's why that was the first color I wanted. That was the first hardware I wanted. The next one had to be gold hardware though. So this one is, it's in its own little protective pouch. These are kept like this. And then for the smaller bags, they're kept on pillows, flat, very soft pillows, so they don't pressure in the little matelassé pouches. But for bigger bags like the 226, that one is kept upright, and also in a little pillow container that is kind of molded to that rounded shape of the bottom, so it always keeps it in that position on a very soft surface. This one also, you can see, maybe it's better if I do it like this. You see the chain is in this pocket, in the pouch in the front. So when it's stored this way, and I twirl this up as much as I can so that the chain has this extra padding underneath it so it doesn't put pressure on the leather here. The leather, which is also protected by this glove. Same situation like we had with the 226. This is the X225 bag size. Also, we have the pouch in the pocket to separate the leather of the Mona Lisa smile from the inner leather. Here we have Chanel aged gold hardware, not the glossy gold. We're going to get to the glossy gold, which was her first original hardware, was the gold hardware, the glossy gold or the champagne gold. This one also has its little protection felt here with the zipper pull that protects the cover, the inner flap. And then we can go on, we can take off this one. It's the same story as the 226, except it's smaller. It is the Chanel bag. This is the closest we can get to Coco's own size. The one that she had. Her chain was a bit shorter, mind you. It was, you know, she could wear it like this. It was maybe this long. But now They're much longer, the chains. This is really cool, also crossbody. Also works as a necklace, actually. I mean, it's a big one, but it's small enough. It doesn't fit as much as the 226, obviously. They're quite different in size when you compare them side by side. This one has the felt in the front. Don't think that the matelassé is missing. So, yeah. You notice, right? You notice, hey, there's a difference in the leather grain. Actually, let me take this off for this segment. Because so the hides are different because every year they vary, they change according to what animals they have, what hides they get, and how they're aged. So this is more aged and more, it's closer to what Carl envisioned for the re-edition of the 255. It's a much more textured, vintagey looking, aged calfskin. It has all those veins going through it. I mean, they're not veins, they're like little wrinkles, you know, but it's been hammered, it's been processed, stretched, and then pulled together again, stretched and pulled together. It's actually a bit more time went into creating this aged look than it went into creating this one. And that's why I wanted this one. This one is a little bit less stretched and then forced together, stretched and forced, because I wanted one of them with the gold hardware. I was waiting for the right one. It took a while, but I wanted the one with the gold hardware to be closer to COCO. COCO's first 255 was jersey, mind you. But soon after that, she did switch it to leather. And of course, it didn't have the aged look. So I wanted to find one 255 that had a little bit less of that stressed look, which I adore. I personally prefer this leather look to this one, but I wanted one of the two, since they're the same bag, just two different sizes, I wanted them to have as many differences as possible. So I wanted this one to have the silver hardware, to be as grainy as possible, and I wanted this one to be as stretched as possible and gold hardware. So that's why, if you notice, it took me a while because with every batch they make, the leather is different. So to get the hide that actually has this texture, still wrinkly enough, but not over the top wrinkly, that was my goal. Another little detail, let me take out the paper here, which both of them have, which is very rare nowadays because they don't put that effort in while they're producing these bags. They don't do it anymore as they should. And you won't be able to see it here, but you will see this detail in my 255 bag exposed review on my YouTube channel. The video just kind of skipped. I hope the audio won't be messed up now. Here, that little knit stitch that keeps the back flap attached to the front of the bag. It's a vertical stitch, and once that is done, they do a horizontal stitch around the vertical one. That horizontal touch, so delicate but so important, it's there on these two. Modern day, like what you buy today at Chanel, almost none of the bags have this. Only the oldest employees of Chanel still do that. The new ones, they don't even know how. So the newer bags don't even have that horizontal stitch anymore. If you don't really know what I'm talking about, check out my Chanel 255 exposed video where I go into detail about that stitch. So this one was, I got this one. How did this work? From my family. This was that weird year. No, 2000, I can't remember. This was the year when I stopped purchasing anything new, but this was given to me. Family. How did this work? 2017. Oh, did I get it 2018? Well, I think it came 2 years or 1 year after the 226. So the 225 came after that. Gorgeous bag. I do use this one more though, because it's easier when I travel to protect it, wrap it. It's small enough to fit in a carry-on suitcase. The other one is big. It's borderline too big. You can't really put it in another bag. You gotta wear it. This one is more protectable, you know, when you're traveling. Then time-wise, the next one that I got, also wrapped in plastic. Okay, this is a cutie. So this is the smallest 255 bag that I've ever owned. I mean, there are smaller ones that were made as little, how would you call them? Cuffs for ankle cuffs, you know. Carl was referencing prisoners, like staying imprisoned at home with the cuffs, and he made it fabulous. Whatever, girl. Anyway, this is a belt. It's actually a fanny bag, but it is so perfectly designed in the back here that the chain just flows upwards or downwards, however you want it. So because it flows upwards, you can actually wear it as a normal bag. I wear it usually as a necklace, and it just hangs like that. But the cool thing about this one is that you can also just flip it. There you go. You can also just wear it over the shoulder. It's a super tiny, cute little bag. It's a symbol of the 255. This one is also in aged calfskin. This one is a little bit more treated. It has a little bit more shine to it. And need I say it? I need to say it, I guess. All of them are made in France, not in Italy. So, you know, just to be very clear, there you have it. Will it show? You can see that it's made in France. This one has a red base. Now, what does this mean? All of these bags, depending on how you photograph them, black doesn't really exist in fashion. You have to understand it's very expensive to do black. There's a company in Japan that does it. They work for theater, because in theater, if you illuminate a spotlight onto black velvet curtains, the theater directors, you know, if they're working with black, they need black to remain black. But if you illuminate a white light, spotlight onto black, the intense light will tickle out the base color for the black, which is usually red or blue. And in theater, you want that black to remain black. So there is a company in Japan that actually produces that really intense black, but it's so expensive, and coloring it and dyeing it, it just takes forever. With leather, you don't do that much work. You don't do those processes. So some of these hides can have a blue undertone or a red undertone. This one has a red undertone. This one definitely has a blue undertone. You can kind of realize, you can see this one is a warmer black and this is a cooler black. Or you might not see it, but this is why sometimes when you put two bags that are apparently the same color next to each other, they look slightly different, even though, you know, they're all 255 bags, because some of them, you know, just from season to season, maybe some hide is treated with a slightly different hue of red or blue to create the black. So this was my third 255 purchase, and it is the fanny slash belt slash necklace slash tiny shoulder bag. Let me drink some water. So this is a very fascinating one because it's so multifunctional. What does it fit, you say? Sure, it fits a smartphone. I don't use smartphones, but it does fit a smartphone, and it could fit, you know, a little tiny perfume, one of those really tiny ones, tissues, or just sunglasses. It's big enough to fit sunglasses. And it does have, you know, little pocket here, little one there, and in the back another one. So it's a very well thought out bag. In my personal opinion, I adore this one. I wear this one a lot. it's also a great accessory. It's like a bag that's also a necklace. So you get two for the price of one at Chanel. That's rare. The next one I got, time-wise, hold on a second. Okay. Was June of 2019. This one is packed slightly differently because, well, it doesn't have a double flap, but here I leave the chain out and it's then kept flat on a pillow inside a plastic box. And then this chain is just laid on top of here because this is a glossy chain. And here we get to COCO's gold chain, the type of gold that she would use for her bags. This one is protected with this little dust bag around it, just like that. And we have the shiny gold chain. So this one was purchased in Rue CAMBON 31 on the 4th of June when the Métiers d'Art, the Paris, New York / Paris, Egypt Métiers d'Art collection was launched. So I did not even know that they released this bag. This was the first day that Rue CAMBON had this bag on the sales floor. And it wasn't on the runway, obviously. It was, you know, it was like a side thing. It was like intended to become a classic shape, but they didn't push it. And in fact, I was asking, oh, what sort of special new bags do you have? Because you just launched the collection. And the lady opened, because I said I'm really interested in 255 bags. So she opened a little, well, like a little wall, not a shelf, how would you call it? Like almost looked like a wardrobe in the wall. So she opens that door and she has, like, you know, all those shelves and all the 255s. And I see this one standing sideways, like it's really tiny. I was like, immediately my sniper eyes, like, what is that? She's like, oh, this little bag. Yeah, this just came today. I was like, don't you dismiss that. It's been years that I've been waiting for a smaller 255. And then when she opened it and I saw that it was a single flap. Now I know the classic Chanel is a double flap. I love my double flap, but like I was so happy to get a single flap to also have it a little bit easier, especially because it's so tiny. What do you want to do with a double flap on such a tiny bag? So I bought it immediately. She's like, but don't you want to see? I was like, okay. I came that day actually for another bag, the golden crocodile imitation rectangular mini, but this one took the cake for me. I had to first like get this one, collect my thoughts, love it for a while, and then I went back to get the gold one. But this is the 255 video. So the 255 collection. This one is also made in France. And it is simpler. The construction is simpler than its other siblings. It's a single flap. It doesn't have the burgundy interior. It has the black interior. But then again, it's such a small bag. What are you going to... Usually you do the burgundy interior to see kind of contrasts to what's inside so you don't lose stuff that's inside. You do that for bigger bags. For a tiny bag like this, it's totally fine that it's black inside instead of burgundy. Would I have preferred burgundy? Yeah, maybe just for the traditional aspect of it, but literally we're fine with the black interior. However, in the simplicity of the construction, this bag also has less of, you know, craftsmanship in terms of that stitch I mentioned before, the horizontal stitch and the vertical stitch. This one, it doesn't do the vertical stitch. This one just does the horizontal stitch. Alas, it is what it is, you guys. And this black, I would say, has a blue tint to it. Or is this red? Let me see on the camera. I would say it's more blue. The base for this black is more a blue base than a red base. We still have our pocket in the back. And this is a texture of the grain of leather right between the 226 and the 225. So let me show you. So 226, 225, and the mini. So Child, the three of them are heavy together. Okay, so you can see the difference in the chains, how they sheer and shine, right? Even the difference between the golds. And then you have the difference in leather textures and colors. Look how blue the middle one is, the blue base. So it's quite a different texture. This is also a good thumbnail. I'm thinking maybe I should do a thumbnail now too. But we can't do me focused and the photos focused. Maybe we can. Oh, let's do a thumbnail. Hold on a second. Okay. All right. So thumbnail time. But anyway, so these bags are, you can see the different grains. Also on the side, how they reflect the light. The leather, the hides have a different way to reflect the light because they are in a different grain. So from the most aged look, which is this one, then the second degree of aged would be this one. And then the least aged would be this one. And then, I mean, if we talk, you know, and then we got the little one here, which is in a league of its own because the leather, this one is a much softer leather. Also because it's a smaller bag. So it's interesting that the leather is even more delicate there and softer because it's less heavy duty of a bag. So they do think about that. These are more heavy duty. You can do a lot with them before they show, you know, wear and tear, as they call it. Now we're moving on to the last one. Now the last purchase is kind of symbolic. I got it this year, and it was the last purchase I bought before the lockdown. And that's it. Since then, no more Chanel bags, because then they had the price increase right after that. So I still have it in its little box. This is how I keep this one, because this one is very delicate. So when it's not in use, it is kept completely packaged, protected in its paper bed heaven, what have you. So it stands upright, the box that it's in, and then underneath it, I use this pouch to protect it, to make it soft, to give it a softer stand, if you may, so that it doesn't get squished. And as you can see, in this case, I don't put the chain in the pouch up here. But because this is a velvet bag, as you can see, everything, you just touch it and it, you know. I leave the chain wrapped in this paper because the second the chain touches the velvet, as you can see, you get these little marks, which you can clean away, but I don't want with time the metal chain to put too much pressure on the velvet, hence pressing it into a shape that the bag cannot be pressed out of later on. So this is our chubby little bag. I love it to bits. It's a chubby one, meaning that the velvet is so thick. The interior is all leather, but because both of them added together are so thick, they couldn't even squish it properly. They have squished it to make the fold, but not a lot because it keeps opening up. It's so thick and chubby and juicy. It's delicious. Oh wait, I have my desiccants, which just flew out. Yes, I put desiccants in all my bags. You guys, you gotta do this. Get your desiccants on because they absorb all potential humidity. You don't want humidity to touch the leather. You don't want humidity to touch the velvet or whatever other materials you have from Chanel. This one is also made in France. Now this one has more desiccants than the leather ones because I want to keep the velvet as dry as possible. Zipper pocket inside, another just slip pocket inside, and on the back we got our little Mona Lisa smile. This one has aged gold hardware. This is a mini rectangular. single flap, and it is and it has aged gold hardware. So when this one came out, it was before the price increase, thank God. So this one, because it is in velvet, was cheaper than the first release of this one. So yay to that. But it is the same model bag. It's the same size, right? But look how different materials react to the folding and the creation. This one looks a bit smaller because it's not as squished. You see how they create this squishy part here and how flattened it is? So elegant. I love this. This to me is so beautiful. And a lot of people go crazy when they see this. They don't like it. I love it. Here they couldn't really do it because the leather they used was very thick and the velvet was very thick. So it's, you know, so it turns out that because here we couldn't get the fold like we did here, the bag results a little bit chubbier and a bit shorter because obviously we're not expanding the height. And as you touch it, you see it keeps changing its shadows. It is a dust magnet though, this little blue, and it's so warm to the touch. Now, even before this bag, I switched to only or mostly Chanel bags made in fabrics, tweed, jersey, velvet. They're the closest to Chanel's heritage. This is what she used to make. She loved fabric because, first of all, it's the closest to her own mentality of a couture, of a couture maison that works with fabrics. So implementing fabrics for clothes into bags is just typical Chanel. In fact, that's why her first 255 bag was in jersey. The jersey material that she used to take it away from something to be worn as just underwear garments, but she made it outerwear. And so there's a lot of heritage in fabrics and Chanel bags, and those are the ones you want to look for if you really want a quintessential at the end of the day. I know usually, I mean, mine was too. The first Chanel bag I bought was a leather bag, but now I only look at fabrics. Now, Chanel bags in general, their price have gone way too up, and it's just way out of any logic, sustainable logic in terms of justifying the price for the quality. It just ain't there no more. So with the last price increase, for me personally, Chanel has just shot themselves out of the ball game. So I will not be purchasing classics anymore. Sometimes they do have some seasonal bags that might be interesting, that have a twist on the classic concept in fabric materials that play with that comfort of having a bag that's comfortable to use, that's soft to the touch, that is very Chanel. Those sometimes are priced in a lower price category, A, because they're in fabric, not in leather, and B, because they're unknown styles still. But other than that, the fabric Timeless Classic, the fabric 255 bags, they're warm to the touch, you know? It's something very comfortable and pleasant, no matter how cold it is outside. A leather bag, you touch it, you freeze. This one is always warm to the touch. And it gives you a sense of luxurious comfort, which is just so incredible. So if their bags were within some sort of concept of reasonable pricing, which they never really were, but if they were a little bit less crazy than they are now, and if I were to keep purchasing Chanel bags, the classics, whatever, I would only go for fabrics. They are just the best. It's just the feel. Yeah, yes, they're delicate. Sure, they are. But the payoff, the emotional payoff, the tactile payoff is just incredible. You know, that's the quintessential Chanel bag is in fabric, ultimately. Sure, you could have the leather inside where things have to be kept tidy in a certain way. But, oh my gosh. This just feels so divine. I would repurchase this over and over and over again. So I was super lucky to have gotten this right before the lockdown hit. And then just like a month or two after that, this one jumped up in price. Crazy. Like $600 or $700. So these are my 255, of course 5. It had to be number 5, right? Chanel number 5. My 255 bags. Now, live with me in the chat, because I am filming this live during a live stream, by the way, so you could follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my channel to get notified, push the notifications button, but to get notified when I do live stream again, because these topics pop up every live stream. So you don't want to miss that. And so let's get to the chats and see what the people are saying. Fendi Bo says, I'm ready to get an education. Thank you, Fendi. PC, how you doing, sweetie? Hello, PC. PC says hello, Dacob. Cha. Amelia says the inner flap. Oh my gosh. Melly says PC. Red Cupid Bow Lips. She's beautiful. Hello, Red Cupid Bow Lips, by the way. Thank you. PC says, hi, Melly. I have working a lot in hospital. Hope all is okay with you. Aw, so sweet. P says, oh, thank you, PC. PC says, Dacob is such a gem. Thank you. Thank you. PC says, to Melly, please take good care. Listening to Dacob is such a welcome change. Oh, thank you so much, PC. Debbie says, how many desiccants per bag? Cha, let me tell you. The desiccant, okay, in this one we got 5 desiccants. This one has 1, and the others have 3. Melly says, love the poetry behind your decision for getting your first one with the silver. PC says, sorry, sometimes I think that Dacob captures the true essence of Coco Chanel than the Chanel company does nowadays. Thank you so much, PC. As I'm scrolling through the chats, let me read the water. I meant to say, let me drink some water. Dondism says, I love the bigger, more grainy version 255 bag with the silver hardware. Melly says 2017 for the 225. Thank you, Melly. Styled for Life says beautiful. Thank you. Melly says, I remember that video. PC says, nice. PC says, love this one. I guess it was the smaller one. I love that glossy chain, says Melly. Oh, all the chains together. They look good together, don't they? Dacob has a whole family of bags, says PC. Beautiful. The best bags, I love how he doesn't have the double C's. Dondism says, I do have the double C's too. Bush. These are the loves of my life, but I have sinned with the double C's as well. Melly says, I have my desiccants. Well done. You got to protect your 255 in Jersey. I still want a blue velvet one. Just gorgeous, says Melly. PC says, yes, it really is. And it's different. Just Another Roger's bag. Welcome back, Just Another Roger. I have always preferred the fabrics versus leather, says Melly. Hey, Roger, welcome back. They're all beautiful. Debbie says, wow, I knew they were extra protected. Just having a sip of water. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. I mean, and you know, Chanel bags, what can I tell you? You gotta love them or you hate them. I mean, you either hate them because you think they're just this weird status symbol, but it depends how you approach them. You know, if you don't go for the double C's, I'll get to that in a second. The double C's, you know, the double C's are beautiful too in a way, but it's this one, you could style it however you want. I know a lot of people justify this purchase by saying, oh, it's easy to style it just with like a pair of jeans and just a white t-shirt and a pair of jeans. Yeah, we've seen that a billion times. I'm so sick and tired of the blue denim jean, the white t-shirt, and then an expensive bag. I get it. You could, you know, honestly, this one looks fabulous even with jogging pants and a hoodie. This one looks amazing if you're dressed to meet the Queen of England. This one looks amazing if you really wanted to. I would never touch my bare skin with it because I don't want my essential oils to affect the chain or whatever, but you could even wear it topless to the beach if you wanted to. It would still look fabulous. It's just so versatile. That it goes with you. Whatever you want it to do, it'll do it. And it doesn't scream logo at all. I mean, the one with the golden chain, of course, the gold attracts. But if you consider the one with the gunmetal, you have the, what's it called, ruthenium hardware, It's like literally wearing a black and white photo on your body. Like I'm also colorful now, right? And then you put this on and it looks like this has been photoshopped in because it is this ruthenium. It just reflects light in a way that it does look like a black and white photo. That's just my opinion. Of course, there's going to be people out there hating, but what you going to do? You can't make everybody happy. Caleb says, Dacob, do you have any opinion on the 255s with the non-gold silver hardware? Example, the iridescent, oil slick, or black hardware bags. I cannot stand them, Caleb. I posted on my COCO, by the way, guys, follow me on my Instagram, my 3 Instagrams. One is superdacob, all spelled together. One is Coco Chanel is in my house, all spelled together, where you see my full collection or a lot of pieces of the collection and everything that Chanel is doing these days. And then the third one is Coco Chanel Privé, all spelled together, where I post the history of Chanel when she was alive. Now, on my Coco Chanel is in my house, I have posted when that little iridescent rainbow unicorn 255 was hit the runway in the Metiers collection of last season. I was like, child, this thing is ugly. Now, I know that a lot of people love it and it's also very influencer friendly. And a lot of people that I love, that I really respect a lot, that also collect Chanel, that we follow each other, have also purchased this bag. So no shade to anybody who likes this bag. I don't like it. I still like you. So this is, I like you, I just don't like the bag. Why I don't like the bag? Because this whole concept of this patchworking, it just looks so cheap to me. Now this ombre effect that Chanel used to do in the past on clothing is beautiful. It just didn't translate well on a tiny bag. It just doesn't translate well. It looks really, really bad to me. So I did not go there. Also, the oh so black or total black chains. First of all, Chanel saw a moment there, an opportunity. And why is that? So this same bag with the black hardware costs more than the version with the gold hardware, just because of the black hardware. So they make it cost more because they think more people like it. But they make it cost a lot more. And the hardware doesn't cost more. So that's another moment where I say, no, just because of that, I might have maybe even liked the black on black, but just because Chanel is pushing a different price tag because it's black on black, I ain't gonna go there. No. And COCO would have done it too. COCO was also like, okay, if something is not right for her, you know, if something felt unjust to her, she would avoid it completely. When she called them her aunts, when they mistreated her, or, you know, when she felt like she was abused in some way and then it was time for lunch, she would refuse to eat. She's like, this is not a privilege. You're giving me food because you're saying it's a privilege. I don't want your food. Oh, she would go hungry for days. So stubborn, like a true Leo. But you know what I mean? Stubborn, and stood her ground always. And that's how I am too, in a way, you know, because I'm like, no, you're making it cost more just because you think it's more desirable. Well, here's somebody who doesn't desire it. You can keep it. Thank you. That's just my way of thinking. If someone stores has a price on those desiccants and shoe boxes, consider me a criminal because I take them home with me. Jack says, I wish the Queen would start wearing Chanel bags. That would be fabulous, wouldn't it? But she can't really go into the logos and the brands. She can't show favoritisms in that respect. I don't know. I'm sure she has something from Chanel, at least some costumes or something. Debbie says, wow, I knew they had, oh, they were extra protected. Daniel says to Jack, I'm guessing that the Queen would not wear Chanel because they cost so much. Ooh, the shade. She is said to be quite stingy though, but I do believe that Chanel, the House of Chanel, would grant her something for free, unless Chanel wouldn't think that she's not of an influencer enough to pull off a Chanel. Good for COCO. That's why we respect your opinion. Thank you, PC. Milan says, Dacob, what's your zodiac sign? I'm a Cancerian, darling. Daniel says, I would not have the character to refuse to eat because I was told it was a privilege to eat, even though I agree and I think eating is a basic human right. Caleb says, Dacob, are you sure it does not cost more to make? Hermes has spent years trying to perfect the technology so that black hardware will not wear as easy. This is since Gaultier released the all-black Birkin. Listen, Caleb, it's not about whether or not it really costs more. Okay, let me take you down history lane. Fashion history lane, Chanel fashion history lane. Back in the day, the timeless classic double flap in caviar leather and in lambskin leather, same size, had two different prices. Lambskin cost more than caviar. They said it's more expensive to create the caviar leather the way we do it for Chanel. To create the lambskin leather the way we do it for Chanel. It's more expensive to create the lambskin leather than it is to create the caviar leather. At a certain point, they just equal the prices, because why did they equal the prices? Because the price increases were so high. Their profit margins are so high that it does not matter if that frickin' chain in black costs more to make. They're still making profits and then some. So it would be elegant to make them all cost the same, because they're already ripping you off. But on top of ripping you off, having the gall to tell you, but you know, to make this chain it costs more, I'm like, bitch, you're already demanding a markup of several thousand%. And then you add another 300 for the chain because it's black, you're telling me it costs you more to make. You already, by the sale of that one bag, you've paid for the production of 20 other bags. So it's vulgar. It's vulgar to demand more money for a different color chain. I do not care how technology... And listen, if Gautier for Hermès, which was a decade ago, made it with a Birkin, with a So Black Birkin, that's 10 years ago. Technology advances. I'm sure by today, it's much easier to make than it was back then. You know, this sort of speech and talk, when a brand comes to me and tries to justify it by saying, I'm like, listen, where's the innovation here? Oh, the So Black thing is an innovation that happened 10 years ago? Innovation 10 years ago? Huh. Couldn't you already have covered the costs for the development of this new technology by now, after 10 years of selling bags, shoveling them into people for more and more money, and people keep buying them? No, I do not think it's excusable. You can only excuse a certain price if there's so much more work that went into the model, designing a new shape, finding new ways to mold things, to create a different way of stitching stuff together, putting stuff together. So, you know, there's so much more you need to do in order to say, hey, $300, $500 markup for a chain color is justifiable. It ain't. I guess it could be safe to suppose Chanel might not be putting in the same work. Probably, of course not. I get your point about the higher prices because something costs a bit more. The profit is so huge that it is just greedy. Yeah, it just is, you guys. And I mean, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, also with these bags now, you know, calfskin doesn't cost as much as lambskin. But the price of the bag between the lambskin Timeless Classic and the calfskin, aged calfskin 255, the price is the same in that size range, right? But they're still going to come to you and say, yeah, but you know, it takes longer time for us to process this, the hides, and stretch them and hammer them and then bring them back, stretch them. You know, this whole process of aging them takes time. I get it. Okay, it takes time. But also with the caviar leather, you're demanding the same price as for the lambskin. But that's just because you've upped your prices so much that the profit is there. No matter what you do, the profit is there. It's an enormous profit because they sell them by the bucket loads. People keep buying. My sales associates at Dacob, the prices just went up again. And we're still selling like nothing happens. And I'm like, who in their sane mind wants to keep going with the flow of these like 2 to 3 price increases a year? No, they're not justifiable. Not at all. I don't know. Just me. But again, this sounds like I'm all like grumpy lumpy. I'm not. I love my Chanel bags. I live for them. They give me life. They make me happy. They make me feel like Coco is closer to me. Like Coco Chanel is still kind of alive in my heart. She always will be. So I'm not angry at these bags. I adore them with all my heart. Just the brand Chanel sometimes really irks me. Their strategies, their mentality, sometimes it's just beyond me how they are still thinking in terms of like Middle Ages instead of like entering 2020 finally, you know, step it up with the times. They still have this weird feudalistic attitude towards luxury and approach to it. That has to change, not the clothes. Virginie does an incredible job. Not the bags are great too. They don't have to change the design. They just have to change their attitude. You know, change your attitude, boo. And that's really important. And I think for a brand to continue being relevant, you gotta stay with the times. you got to stay with the times. And also, like, you got to allow your co-workers, your sales associates, to dress up. You can't just dress them in those tacky made in China uniforms, because you're saving money there too, Chanel. I know your uniforms are made in China. And dressing them up, always the same uniform, like without character. Like, let them also wear the pieces from the collection. No, because in our luxury standard, the customer has to be dressed better than the sales associate. Not in my boutique, it wouldn't be. If I had my store, I would want my co-workers to be dressed fabulously, so that when you, as the customer, come in, you look up to them. You don't look down at them. You look up to them and you say, like, wow, I want to be as glamorous as you. Help me out to become as glamorous as you. Style me. You know, instead of entering a boutique where everybody's in their uniforms, they're not allowed to sit, they're always like standing like this. Hello, how can I help you? Immediately, their whole stance is irradiating servant. And that's not good. And that the brands, these luxury brands, should not make their sales associates, should not push them into those positions of behaving that way. It maybe worked 100 years ago. It doesn't work today anymore. Some wonderful, incredible brands that also cost a pretty penny have a much more loose and cool approach to how the whole environment within the shop works, and how the sales associates are given the opportunity to let their own character shine, to style themselves. Of course, there are certain standards. I mean, if you're working in an Adidas store, you can't wear Nike. Duh. So if I'm going to work in a Chanel store, I probably should not be wearing Hermes, and I should not be wearing Dior. But within the beautiful range, the humongous, gorgeous range of clothes and accessories that Chanel has to offer, you can find some amazing pieces to style yourself to look incredible. And instead, no, you have to wear the little uniform like a little soldier. And you got to stand there, always standing, smiling. How can I help you? How can I help? That's not help, that's serving. And serving is different from servicing, okay? And I know that there's this mentality, especially in the States, of like, I am the client, I own you. You don't own anybody. And money doesn't buy you shite if you do not have the manners. And I made this video a couple of years ago, you know, the 10 things never to say or do in a luxury boutique. And it went really well. It got several, gosh, we're over 100,000 views there. I mean, it really did well, but I got a lot of hate too, only from the States, of people saying, I'm the customer, I drop the money, I dictate. If I say, you know, lick my feet, you lick my feet. Excuse me? No. No. But of course, the brands are in some sort of way feeding into that culture by making their employees fit this servant position, a uniform fit for a maid almost, you know, their uniforms and how they have to stand. And that to me doesn't always translate into showing respect for the brand. Sometimes, and quite often time, it translates into, you don't have to respect me. You can walk all over me. I'm just a servant. There you have it, guys. Yeah, that's that. Sorry for rambling on too long. I see what you're saying, Dacob, says Caleb. I always appreciate your takes on and sharing your knowledge. Thank you, Caleb. PC says, Dacob, it's just righteous indignation. Yes, dignifying the sales associates would cultivate a better creative atmosphere. Daniel says, you are not wrong about the servant thing. Even the rude ones are like servants, upper servants, notoriously grand in the Victorian Edwardian eras, and often rather rude to people below them. Exactly. You're feeding into that system. They all feed upon each other into that sick system, and it has to stop. Dondism says, yes, preach. I love this. I agree. Essays should be treated with higher standard. Amy says, Dacob, what an evolved and honorable way of looking at sales associates. Wonderful. Thank you, Amy. Daniel says, Chanel uniforms are very much like the uniforms parlor maids wore in the not so good old days. Just another Roger, it's very obvious that Chanel is playing price tag ego war with Hermes, slowly but surely, eventually going to level with Hermes, price tag wise. Hermes is still not in my alley. Fendi Bo says, oh my God, Dacob, I work in retail and I couldn't help but to feel like a servant. I love to share my passion for the products that my company offers and always gladly to help the customers. You see, Fendi Bo, that's a wonderful example. because you see, you have passion. You're showing that you want to help. You're showing that you want to share your love and passion. And then some bimbo, random bimbo comes in thinking that you are nothing. Mind you, not nobody, less than nobody, nothing, which is something a thing is not. And this is often the treatment that people, that sales associates get in these boutiques if they're forced to have these uniforms, to always stand, to have never to sit down, to always be like, yes, madam. I'm like, girl, you're a madam if you act like a madam. If you act like you came out of the gutter, okay, then you won't be treated like a madam. Learn your manners, and then you'll be treated with respect. You can't demand respect if you do not know what respect is. Because if you knew what respect was, you would be also giving respect, not just demanding something that you know nothing about. Nothing. How the hell can you demand respect if you can't even spell the word? T-shirt idea. Oh God, that video, says Melly, the 10 things not to say and do in a luxury boutique. Some of the comments were so appalling. Dana says, I always tell sales associates to call me Daniel. Yes, I also always go into that friendly, and I give presents. I mean, if I get to know somebody, and then the next time I would come and I really like them, I would give them a little cookie, a little present, or whatever in the moment, you know, I envision or think about. Just little thoughts, little something just to show that you appreciate that somebody's ultimately helping you. Because that's what a person is, that there's a human being in a store helping you with your purchase. So be thankful. Instead of thinking, yeah, but I pay so much for this bag anyway, they should be happy to have my money, so they gotta lick my feet. No, the brand should be happy and licking your feet, not the sales associate. The sales associate is between the brand and you and the product. There's this triangle: brand, product, customer. And the sales associate has to balance that delicate, how would you call it? Balance, the delicate balance. I'm repeating balance twice, but has to juggle the delicate balance of those three and make everybody happy. It's a tough job for a sales associate. So they deserve respect because they are helping you. They are not serving you, just to be clear. The system has given the opportunity for some rude customers who thought they are above the sales associates, especially those who have connection with the owners or someone above there. Oh, those are the worst. Those are the worst. COCO even hated them. In her The Allure of Chanel co-biographical book with Paul Morand, she does talk about that type of client, the type of client that knows another really important client of yours and then knows you and then says, you know, and oh, by the way, you know, I could wear it here and there, I need a reduction, and then they're going to buy it for a cheaper price, and then they're going to bring it back because they wore it to a soiree, and then they want to bring it back because they're cheap hoes, so they want the money back for something that they wore, you know. And then they know somebody, and then they treat, you know, and then they would go to the sales assistant and be like, how dare you not take this back? I know, mademoiselle, you know. And there's this whole terrible culture of just this rotten decadence. Not decadence in a good way. Decadence can have this very bohemian poetry about it, but I ain't talking about the poetic decadence. I'm talking about the ratchet decadence. And our society has come to a point where people literally in flip-flops enter boutiques and with chewing gums, can't pronounce 3 words, you know, correctly, grammar never taught in their caves, and then they demand respect and treat you like shit. I'm like, attitude, rudeness, ignorance. It just shows me what a small person you are, because you have to be a small person to behave like that, to be so rude and so rotten. It just shows who you are, really. Really, it just shows who you are. And it's just like, the more you can avoid people like that, the better it is. But unfortunately, Fendi Bo, in your case, I mean, you know, if you're working in the boutique and they push this client onto you, what are you going to do? As they say, you got to suck it up. You know, you got to be like, you know, and you go through it. PC says, so annoying opportunists. Dacob, you should write an opinion piece on this. I should. But anyway, guys, amen is just another Roger. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I know this turned into a longer video. It's not just the Chanel bags, but I think the 255 has such a tradition and a heritage that it connects to also this behavior and sales associates and customers. And I mean, there's a reason why this bag survived so long, and there's a reason why we love it. And there's also a reason why this bag should also, because it has such an important status in culture, this bag should also have that power to ignite this type of conversation. You know, we're going to have the scrolling now, the thank yous to all my patrons and my members and my super chats. There they go. Let me move to the side, wrong side. So here you go, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As I said, nothing better than a 255 Chanel bag to ignite this conversation, because it's an important conversation. Respect is a big part. You know, the heritage of this bag is also the respect that this bag brings with it to the table. You cannot wear this. I would not sell you this bag if I were to work at Chanel. I would not sell you this bag if you were this very rude person, because this bag represents culture. It represents dignity. It represents heritage. It represents memory. It represents also, even though it's an expensive bag, it still represents being humble of spirit. And none of that applies to obnoxious customers that have no respect of other human beings. So you don't deserve it, boo. You don't deserve to buy this bag. You don't. No. I mean, I ain't selling it to you. You can leave now. Thank you very much. go to Gucci. Buy something in Gucci, you know. Just buy some crystal thing. And then be tacky, but not here. And this is, you know, so nothing better than a 255 bag to ignite this conversation about respect and knowledge, ultimately. You have to know what you're talking about in order to be comfortable talking about it without being aggressive, without raising your voice, without immediately falling into fights with other people. Usually the people that fall into fights with other people is because they don't know what they're talking about. So they think that by yelling louder than you, they're going to be right. They're not going to be right just because they're louder than you. That just shows that they're bullies at the end of the day. But thank God, you know, thank God we got our Chanel 255s with our metal chains. You just smack that bully right in the head and show them who's boss. Yeah, you want to lose dignity, boo? I'll show you losing dignity. This is a heavy metal chain. It'll show you dignity. You know what I mean? COCO did not make these chains with all the beautiful ornaments in there, because when you slap somebody with it, they have this beautiful design, intricate ornamental design on their face as a "You're welcome." Now you've been branded Chanel. Oh gosh, what a weird thing to say at the end of this video. It could be interpreted in wrong ways, but I think if you've made it thus far in this video, you will interpret what I just said in the right way. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, superdacob all spelled together. Become a member also. Join the community and help the channel grow. The join button is right next to the subscription button, and you can also join me on Patreon. Thank you so much to my members and patrons. Until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Bye.